Alright, so hey guys, so in today's video I will be feeding all my reptiles. So in here are the crickets that I'm going to be using. I normally like to feed most of my reptiles at least once a week, a big feeding. So this is probably 100 to 200 crickets, and that's normally what I use. So let me get some calcium powder for you guys first. Alright, so I have here some Reptivite. This is normally what I use. It's a calcium supplement. I normally always do this to my crickets. And now I'm going to have to get a new bottle. Let me try to get as much as I can in there. That should be pretty good, and now I'll kind of stick them around. I get all mixed in. And then also what I use right here is this right here. This is a spray. I use this because not all my reptiles have UV lights on. So I normally like using this. And I also take them around. Alright, so that should be good. So let me move on to the first reptile. Right there you can see this is my emerald swift. And right now he's in the middle of the shed, but still he'll eat. You guys remembered I did have two in here. That's the larger one, and I had a smaller one. But sadly, like a week ago, he passed. I'm not sure what. I found him on the bottom of the floor, and he dropped his tail. I'm not sure why, but he was severely dehydrated, so I was giving him some water, but he sadly didn't make it. But anyways, let's move on to this guy. So let me set up my camera. Alright, so there we go. So now let me drop some crickets in. This guy, he's normally a pretty good eater. I've actually been falling in love with the emerald swifts just because they're a very gorgeous lizard, and then they have an amazing appetite. So I'm just going to sprinkle some crickets in there, and hopefully we'll see him. He's over there right now, but hopefully he'll move on and get some. Alright, so I just try to get him to eat, but it doesn't look like he's interested in eating. So we'll just move on to the next animal, and we'll check up with him later. Alright, so let me move on to the next lizard. Alright, so the next lizard I have here is my tokay gecko. He's a really good eater. Hopefully we'll actually catch him eating this time. And he's a nice large male. I wasn't able to sex him. I know for sure he is a male because I've heard him multiple times calling for, they'll call for females, and I've heard him do that. But he's probably about a foot total in length. So let me open up his cage and see if he's hungry. Tricky part is gotta keep one of the doors closed. So this, normally I don't do this, but sometimes I'm able to get them to eat out of the container. So let's see if we can catch them eat. Come on, boy. Alright, I don't think we're gonna catch him doing this. So let me just pour some in. Cage back here. A little bit more than what I wanted for him. But we'll probably have to wait for him to catch him eating. But I might be able to catch him. Alright, so let's move on to the next lizard. Alright, so in here you won't be able to see much. Probably these two I'm going to do real quick. Over here is my Cuban night anole. And then over here is my Mexican alligator lizard. And actually my Cuban night anole is out. Right there is his tail. Normally I don't see him at all. So I was surprised to see him. So let me just quickly add some crickets in both of these cages. Alright, so that should be it for these two guys. I'll probably wait around a bit to see if I can catch either one eating, but normally you won't see much. I do see my Cuban night anole back there. He's looking interested in something. Let's see if we can catch him eating. My tokay gecko, he looks like he's about to jump on something. I think we'll just move on to the next animals. Alright, so next are my two leopard geckos, my two females. You can see the first one right there. The second one, she's kinda behind there. But I definitely know these two girls will eat. So let me add in some crickets. Alright, so the second one came out. But the only problem with these guys is they don't have the best vision. It takes them a while to actually catch one. But the leopard geckos are one of my favorites. Just because they are so active and you always see them looking at you and wondering what you're doing. There we go. Yeah, and also they're great eaters. So this should last all the animals for a while, because normally the crickets will go into places and hide, and it'll take them a while to come out and for them to get them. So that's normally why I do a big feeding, only once a week. And plus, with the amount I have, it takes a lot of crickets. I normally get in orders of 1,000 crickets probably every at least 3 weeks. So yeah, I go for a lot of crickets for them. Alright, so let me move on to the next animals. My tokay gecko, he decided to jump down. I noticed that when I was going to the next animal. Still hasn't caught any crickets yet. And the Cuban night anole and the Mexican alligator lizard, they're both eating. I can hear them, but you can't see them. Alright, so let me move on to the next animals. Alright, so the next two animals I'll probably show off pretty quickly just because you won't see them eating much. The next two are both frogs. So first off here is my pixie frog. These guys, they eat a whole lot, and they are the second largest frog in the world. And lately he's been just hiding out in his water bowl, and I haven't seen him out in forever. He normally eats, but it doesn't look like he wants to now. yeah, anyways, I'll move on to the next frog. It's just right over here. He's also in his water bowl, and he's got a lot of dirt in there. So this is my first painted chubby frog. You will see another one later on in the video. But yeah, pretty much these guys do nothing. They just sit around and eat a lot. That's what most frogs do. But let me move on to the next animals, hopefully more interesting. Alright, so next is my baby Savannah monitor. I definitely know he'll eat because he never misses a meal. So right now he's a young baby. I would say about 9 inches. So he's slowly getting there. But if you guys are not familiar with monitors, they are the largest species, the largest family of lizards in the world. And this species, the Savannah, they only get about 3 feet. So they're one of the more smaller, medium-sized ones. There's some that'll get much bigger. But anyways, all monitors are great eaters, and I really love them. I would love to get more, but since they take up so much more space, you can get less. You won't even let me put the crickets in there first. He's diving in. Alright, let me just add the crickets in, and then you can have them. So like I said, he never skips a meal, as you can tell. He loves eating. And also I love how monitors eat their food. They just throw it down their throat. But yeah, he's a great eater, and he's a friendly lizard. I'm still working on handling with him because I definitely want him to be tame when he's full grown. But anyways, he's a great eater. Oh. Getting another cricket. Yeah, the crickets don't last long in here. Yeah, one thing I like he's done right here is his water bowl. And he'll dig underneath it. That's kind of his cool hide. That's on the cool side anyways. And the crickets will hide underneath there. So normally, the day after feeding, if he goes in there, he'll flush them out. And they'll go everywhere. But yeah, I have him where I can see him all the time, and he's always out basking or doing something. Alright, so anyways, let's move on to the next animal. Oh, and also one thing I forgot to say with the Savannah monitor is he'll normally jump out of his cage during feeding. So I've been working with him to train him to go in and out of his cage, because hopefully I'll let him roam when he gets bigger. And also one thing is right next to him on the floor is my Scolopendra Gigante. And by the way, she's doing great. I might make another video, feeding video on her again soon. But he's always out and watching the centipede, thinking he can take it on. But yeah, real nice lizard. The only thing is they're not good for beginners. Definitely not, just because so much space you need for their cage and their diet. They eat a lot, so you need to feed them a lot. Alright, so now let me move on to the next animal. Alright, so the next animal I have here is my crested gecko. You can see him just in there. Right now his setup, it's okay, but one thing I definitely want to do soon with his and also my tokay geckos is I definitely want to plant them. I want to get almost all my reptiles in planted tanks just because it's much better for them. So what I'm gonna be tongue feeding him a cricket just so we can see it. So crested geckos, their main diet is crested gecko food. It's a dry powder that you add water to and mix it up, and then it's ready to eat. You can see the cutfish back there. But they do need live insects, and a study has been shown that they need more than what we thought they needed. So hopefully he'll eat. He normally always does. He's normally a great eater. You missed. There we go. And he's not a certain morph, anything crazy. He's just a normal. All he is a partial pinstripe. That's all I know he is. I didn't buy him as anything certain. But yeah, that cricket, it's a big meal for that little gecko. But these guys, they make really good first reptiles. Unlike the Savannah monitor. Then also the leopard geckos, they make pretty good first pet. But kind of all the other reptiles, I wouldn't say make good first pets, especially first reptiles. Yeah. Alright, so let's move on to the last couple animals I have. Alright, so next is my second painted chubby frog. You can see him, he's buried in his water bowl right now. And he's in a 10-gallon, the other one is in a 5-gallon, and I plan on soon moving the first one in here with him. Just because there originally was 2 in here. The local pet store in town had them, and no one was really interested in them, and I'm pretty good friends with the owner and the employees there, because I go in there a lot. But anyways, they just decided to give them to me. And I wasn't like super interested in them, but I still was glad to take them. You can hear my Savannah monitor in the background eating more crickets. But yeah, I plan on moving the other one in here. I'm just hoping this one will grow up a little more, just because they're not that big of a size difference that one of them might eat the other, but still just for fighting and whatnot. But yeah, I'll probably just quickly show this because he definitely won't eat in front of us. So let's move on to the next animals. Alright, so here's the next 2 tanks. Over here, this is my Vietnamese mossy frog, and then over here are my 2 white tree frogs. So let me do the mossy frog first, just because I know we won't see him. So let me just pour some crickets onto the cork bark there. So yeah, that should be good for him. He's, let me move a light back there. He's kinda behind the cork bark. You can see him just back there. Oh yeah, normally I never see him eat because he's pretty much fully aquatic. So let me close up his. So then I move this light back over here. So now these guys are real good eaters. Right there, that's my female, and up there's my male. My male, he's not that good of an eater, but the female, she definitely is. I like when I opened her enclosure, she turned around looking at me. So she's probably ready to eat. So let me pour some in. I'll just pour them there. Oh yeah, she's coming. Yeah, one problem she has is she'll strike at anything. He walked right by the crickets. Stop acting so cute. Just eat the. There we go. So I was saying the problem is she'll strike at anything. So a lot of I have to refill her water bowl every night because she's in it and she overflows it. And this plant right up here, it's a purple wandering Jew. And sadly, it had a real nice purple leaf on the top of it. And she turned around, she jumped on it immediately and bit it, and I had to pull it out of her mouth so she didn't eat it. But yeah, she destroyed it. So right now she's sitting there, just minding her own business. There's some crickets you're sitting on if you want to eat those. Yeah, but she's normally very feisty. And one thing I like about these guys, especially my male, is both males and females, white tree frogs, will croak. And they are very loud, I mean godly. But whenever it rains, all my frogs will croak. Well, all the frogs I have that will croak. So these two will, my Vietnamese mossy frog, and then the last tank that I'm going to show you guys. I have a frog in there that'll croak too. But these guys are the loudest. Alright, so doesn't look like she's gonna eat anymore. Oh, and one thing, this tank, it is full live planted. All the plants in here are real. Up here, this is a nice big kangaroo plant. You can see it goes real back there, it's growing up. And then here, I can point out, is a wandering Jew. I really like using those are real nice. And then, like I said, here is a purple wandering Jew. And then here, this grass plant, I can't remember what it's called, but it hasn't been growing a whole lot. And then there's another plant back there, I can't remember the name of it. Alright, so let me move on to the next and last cage. Alright, so right here is the last and final tank. This is actually the first planted tank I did. And it's real basic plants. Sadly, most of the moss in there isn't green, it's all brown. But I have a nice large kangaroo plant. It goes up there, around and up front, and then it goes back, and then it has a nice two big sprouts that are up. And then I have wandering Jew that is just going everywhere. But yeah, this, I have 4 different species in here, and they all live happily together. I just kind of call it the community tank. But let me try to show you some of them before we feed them. So up there, that is a house gecko. There was originally 4 in here, but he's the only one left, and he did lose his tail, and it has almost fully Alright, so sorry for the cut there, my camera ran out of storage, but I was showing my house gecko. And then right over here by him, don't know if you guys can tell what it is. Lift the lid. Right there is one of the frogs in here. It is a gray tree frog. He's the last frog that I have that croaks all the time. And then let me see if I can find the other animals in here. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can tell, but that is a fire-bellied toad. There's actually 2 right there. And then there's one more animal in here. Alright, so I'm not being able to find the last animal in here. It is another frog, and what it is a leopard frog. So I'll just add in the crickets. These guys probably won't eat at all. I normally don't see them eating. But anyways, let me add them in. There we go. The house gecko, he's actually looking pretty interested in them. And I had also in here, I had a gold dust day gecko, if you guys remembered. Oh, the house gecko looked like he's about to jump on. But anyways, I had a gold dust day gecko in here, but I haven't seen him in forever, and I'm pretty sure he's dead. Oh, there we go. Looks like he's gonna get that cricket. Yeah, it's funny watching the house gecko eat because the crickets are larger than his head and him trying to eat them. Yeah, I remember in here. Also in here I used to have a green anole. And then the white tree frogs I showed you, the male, I had him in here first, and he kind of stayed in this hole in the ground and never really came out. But I remember once he was in the water bowl soaking, and I was watering their tank before I went to bed, and I checked on them, and I saw he decided to eat the Cuban night anole, or at least try. So yeah, he jumped on it and got her. I was able to get him to spit her out, and she was fine, but she did eventually die later on, not because of being almost eaten by a frog. I'm pretty sure she was older at age. Alright, so this should be the last of it. Alright, so this will be the end of the video. Decided to move over to him just because he'll be more interesting to watch. So, I already know I'm not going to be able to upload this video on Friday, the normal time I normally upload videos at. It got too busy and I wasn't able to. I might do another video to make up for this. I might feed some of my invertebrates, some crickets too. So, I'll see if I do that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment something. And if you guys want to see more, then please subscribe. I post every Monday and Fridays, and sometimes on Wednesday. I'm hoping to get on that. I have a Instagram that I post pictures on, so I'll leave that in the description if you guys want to go check that out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I see you guys next time.